Hi, this is Annette. This is your girl. So today we are going to be sharing not only Peace Corps, but
Jianca.
Jianca. And before we do that, I'm going to share the goal and the mission and vision of Peace Corps. So the mission is to promote world peace and friendship by fulfilling three goals. One, to help the people of interested countries in meeting their need to train men and women. Two, to promote a better understanding of Americans on the part of the people served. And three, which we're doing today, is to promote a better understanding of other peoples on the part of America. And today, or America and Americans. So today we have Jianca, who is going to be sharing her Peace Corps service in Thailand.
Yes.
All right. Well, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Jianca Reed, and I am currently living in Tampa, Florida. I served in Thailand from 2015 to 2017 as a youth and development volunteer. What does that even mean? Okay, so youth and development basically means that I was molding the young minds of Thailand to be able to perform leadership, communication, and a better understanding of themselves as far as their community goals were based on the interaction that I had with my office. I worked in a small town of about 3,500 people called Chayapoom, which was about 4 hours away from the main city of Bangkok. I had never gotten on a plane before and left the country. That was my first time. A lot of the times people ask why I did Peace Corps. Well, that's a funny story. So I was actually in an AmeriCorps program. I'm an AmeriCorps baby first and foremost. I've done NCCC and state. I served at FAMU, Florida A&M University in Tallahassee first and foremost. And then after I served there, I went to do NCCC in Sacramento, California. And then I did a state job in Douglasville. At a place called Youth Villages. And my supervisor at the time was like, someone always does Peace Corps after this. And I have found that when I laugh at something, that means it's going to be my turn. So I laughed and I ended up applying, and I interviewed in a small cabin in the woods for Peace Corps and I got in. My dad had actually gotten into the Peace Corps when he was in college, and he was supposed to be serve in Colombia. And my grandma, he lived in New York at the time in Harlem, and my grandma thought that he was going to be a drug lord. So she hid the paperwork away from him and told him that he did not get in. He was looking for this paperwork. Mama, where is it? Where is it? And staging had already happened, so the time had passed for him to go. So we had been talking about that for quite some time. So I got on a plane, I went to a small town, and I learned a second language. So let's talk about people of color in Peace Corps real quick with this whole BLM movement.
Before we get to people of color, what was the language in Thailand?
The language of Thailand is Thai. So It literally just falls right off the tongue. Hello in Thai is Sawasdee Ka, and for men it's Swadi. There's another ending for Swadi Cap. So for men it's Swadi Cap, for men it's Swadi Ka, because it's like, like flowery and stuff.
Kind of sexy. I like it.
It was really sexy. The language is great. It rolls off the tongue, and for those of you that don't know, you have to take a language test in order to be permitted to proceed with the process. There's a whole staging process that takes 3 months when you get there, right? You think just because you flew these hours to get to XYZ, you're going to stay? No. They are going to test you until the end and to see, okay, we think you can serve in full capacity. I failed my first language test.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. And because I don't know about for other people, but they had people come from the embassy to test us. And I just was not ready for all that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Our trainers tested us.
Yeah, that happened in the second part. After the second test for me. It was a lot. It was overwhelming. Thailand is very, very hot. Yes, I come from Florida, but ain't nothing like Thai hot, okay? The food is spicy, the weather is spicy, and the people can be spicy depending on where you're going to.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's go back to your other part as a PCV of color.
A PCV of color. Wow. That was life-changing. So the group before me, I'm group 127. 126 had 3 Black people, and then my group had 5. And out of my 5 people, I want to say 4 of us successfully completed the 2 years and 3 months. Other people had to leave due to other reasons for leaving. And so being a person of color, I had a moment of cross-cultural crisis. I became exotic by living in Thailand, right? Because I'm dark, being in an Asian country, Southeast Asia specifically, light is right, okay? So that's still a process that they think of, right? Mm-hmm. They use lightening cream. If you're too dark, that means you work in the sun, you're on the poor scale of the socioeconomic class. So when people would see me, they would either assume, A, I was from Africa, or B, why are you so dark? Where are you from? So breaking those barriers was fantastic. I served, there's committees in Peace Corps as well. So I served on the peer educator, sorry, that was a Peace Corps thing. That was an AmeriCorps thing. I served on the peer outreach committee. I think that's what it's called. And then I also served as the first only that I know of, the diversity coordinator. I actually brought together teams of 5 volunteers apiece. Every class that came in after us, we would go do a diversity training with the class so they could understand what they were getting themselves into by living and working in Thailand. Also, Thai men hitting on me was great, right? I could speak the language, I could be hit on. I was in a relationship at the time, so I couldn't take any other suitors. But I think that they were pleasantly surprised that they were so enthralled with me. It's just so much love and so much happiness. And the people in Thailand are really nice, and just wanting to be able to communicate with them, that made me work really hard on the language thing. Host families, okay? I love my first host family to death. My host mom was a nurse. I had 2 little brothers. I had a grandma. We would spend time together cooking and talking and exchanging, cultural exchange, which is goal number 1, right? I'm going to tell you about, or goal number 3. I'm going to tell you about my culture. You're going to tell me about your culture. We're going to get to know each other. I had to live with my host mom for 3 months, and then I got moved out of that town. And then when I got to my place in Chayapum, I lived with the mayor of my office, right? Which is faux pas. They tell you do not live with your mayor or your supervisor. I had nowhere to go. So number 1, thank you for her, for taking me in, number 1. Yes. And number 2, she was very protective of me. You are their American baby. You have to go back the way you came. You can't have no cuts, no bruises, no nothing. So every time I tried to leave her area, which was by bike, of course, or by walking, she was like, where do you think you going? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna bike, I need to do this, I need to see the area, I need to make a map of my town, I need to talk to the people, make sure they know that I'm here. She'd be like, please come back here. And I couldn't even bike fast enough because she was on a scooter right behind me. He was coming for me. So I had to deal with that, but I only had to stay with them for a month because the class before me was rallied against staying for 3 months with your host family. Some countries you have to stay with your host family the entire time for safety and security purposes. Right. But after that first month, I was in my own house and I was living it up. Me and my little cats.
Oh, that was the thing, having pets. So what did you do with your cat when you left Thailand?
Well, when I left Thailand, I actually gave my cat to my teacher friend who loves him to death. She spoils him, and he's an indoor-outdoor cat, and she has a dog, and they just get along fabulously. So I was really happy that I was able to do that. I did have a friend who had a dog, Jake and Lisa, and they actually brought the dog back to America stateside. And so now they have the dog, and they live in Ann Arbor Island now. So wow. Yeah.
I had a dog. I gave it to one of my trainers, but initially I was trying to bring my dog back, but it had to be quarantined for a period of time, and his ticket was just as much as my ticket. Like, I'm not trying to use my reallocation, readjustment for my dog. I love you, Q, but see you on the other
You
side.
got to go. Yeah. It was
Besides,
expensive.
he was all over the place. Like, I go to the school, he'd go to the village. Before I get to school, I'd be like, Q, and you hear him,
Oh my
and I'm
God,
like,
that's
okay,
so
it's time to
cute.
go. And he'd be like, let's go. And then we go home. So if I brought him here to the city and I'm in Delaware, we small.
Yeah.
My yard is small. He gonna be like, hold up, why you got me all tight? You got me
Contained.
on the chain? What? I was like,
I want
I
to live my
cried.
life. I want to be free.
Yeah, I totally cried like I was leaving my baby.
I
But I'm like, you'll
know.
be on the farm. Hopefully you'll be good. They don't really eat dogs here, so that's not a thing. And you're a good dog. I mean, I had 3 people like try to steal you while I was here, so surely they wanted you because you're good,
Somebody gonna take care of you.
you know. So if in terms of service, what are you doing now that connects you to your service? Are you still serving?
I am not serving. In a third goal sense, that was actually what I did when I got back. I was actually applying to grad school. I wanted to do the Master's International program originally, but I got into Peace Corps first, and I said, bump all the GRE, bump all that. I ain't doing that. So I came back. I started volunteering as on panels, right? Peace Corps panels.
Yeah.
I was going to my local university where I did undergrad at, which was the University of South Florida. And that actually, me going to do the panels is what led me to be one of the first cohorts at the School of Public Health at USF. I was one of 3 selected for a Coverdell Fellowship.
Nice, congratulations.
Yep. And honestly, it led me to my other job. I worked at the Office of Multicultural Affairs.
So you are still serving.
Yeah, I mean, I don't work for them anymore, but you're right. The program I worked for was called iBuddy, and it was basically it literally was friendships between international and domestic students, and I would throw socials every 2 weeks.
Yes, you're still serving.
For sure.
The volunteer, oh Lord, I forget her name, that I interviewed 2 days ago. She basically, like, I feel like we end up in a life of service because our hearts are most of our intents are to improve. And whether it's depending on the level that you're at or your interest in improving and your dedication to assisting people in improving, we always end up in kind of a life of serving or volunteerism, because that's just where our heart is.
That's so true. I just graduated with my master's in public health in August. And so it was global health, of course, and disaster management. And now I lead a COVID-19 response pod in Tampa, Florida. And so I assist case investigators. I train. I don't know if you all know, but Peace Corps will train you to train. Okay. You have to talk to people. You have to talk big crowds of people all the time about your life, what you're doing, how you're doing it, because you're supporting them in their efforts to be a better country.
I did not know that.
I mean, sometimes it feels like you aren't. We did have a lot of off days. I think a normal job is kind of weird for us because we got to pick our schedule, Peace Corps volunteers.
And we got to be creative, and it was received well. So if you had a project or initiative that you wanted to try, because that's what we do. We try a plethora of projects. Only 2 may survive, but we're like, plug it. We're like, okay, that didn't work. Let's reevaluate this and let's do this. And people are like, hold up, let's have another meeting. Let's sit and discuss. Let's see if this is going to work. And we're like, oh, we got 2 years.
Yeah, and PCDs are like, let's go, go, go. You want something done, you got to get it done now. Or you want me to extend for a year if I can. I might not feel like it because I know at some point in time, I had to start drawing calendars. And my goal was to rip up the calendar, the month, for that month, to rip it up and say, I made it this far. Because sometimes the struggle was real, baby. Because they give you a graph in Peace Corps that talks about your emotional roller coaster. And it is so emotional.
Serious! It is serious!
You be like, do I want to be back? Ooh, I don't know. What benefits would it be to go back home? Oh, so many benefits.
The lady said, you have to be fat. And I was like, oh, I was fat. And she was like, no, you have to be flexible. You have to be attentive, and you have to be like tenacious, like willing to, she was like, you have to be willing to change, you have to be flexible, you have to have a good attitude. And I was like, Lord knows, because if you're not tenacious, if you're not one, if you like, because that was the thing in Namibia, like, it was like, oh, you're fat. And you know, we don't want to be fat. It's like, do you mean PhD? Like
Since
FAT?
COVID, I've
Like
been living
what?
it up. FAT, I no more. The cares are
Girl.
whoop out the window. Oh, that's a double XL. That's for me. Oh, that looks great. Yep. Okay.
Look, so you can't come with all these hang-ups, because they was like, you
Mm.
fat. And I was like, oh, they was like, yeah. I was like, oh, that's good. And they was like, oh yeah. So, you know, but people who are self-conscious and they calling you
Yeah.
fat, and you like, every
Not
day
me.
they're
I
calling you
actually
fat.
got kicked out of a store once for being overweight or fat or
In
fat and
Thailand?
fabulous. Yes, because everybody's a skinny mini, pretty much, except men. The women are kind of thick, but not as thick as me. And so one time I went to go try on some clothes with my supervisor, and the lady was like, "Oh no, you can't try on these clothes here. You got to get out my store." And I was like, "Oh." And you know, they say don't cry in front of your super, like, because in Thailand, if you cry, it's like a sign of weakness kind of thing. So,
Oh,
and I'm over here bawling, and she just like, it's okay, girl. Like, I know, you know, but you, it is what it is. And I was like, that's okay. That's okay. I can do this. Like, you know, so if anything, Peace Corps taught me how to love myself, number one. It taught me how to plan my life, number two. And it taught me how to communicate. I think a lot of times, even with COVID and us being stuck in, you know, indoors and not communicating really with our friends and family, because we
right.
are right now going through an emotional roller coaster of life. And no one's ever been in a pandemic. If they have, I mean, yes, people from the Holocaust have survived, and slaves, we obviously, some of us made it that far to tell our story.
Mhm.
But with us, it's all new. And
Yeah,
so we're all dealing with it in different ways. And so we're trying to figure out how to communicate with each other on a higher scale. And I
I
think
agree.
even going in the store now, you know, you order something from McDonald's and you be like, why you got an attitude? Just give me my burger. Like, what's the problem? You know, and like, that's not the case. It's just, I try to see things from the perspective of, everybody wakes up on their side of the bed, and you just try to be the best you that you can be. The
Yeah.
best book I could ever recommend for anybody is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Okay,
Or
that is the
agreement.
best book that I could ever recommend. It tells you how to be a better person, and it just walks you through some things in life that you might have forgotten just because, hey, as Black people, we bury something every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All right. So what was like your favorite thing about your service? Like, what is something that you'd be like, oh, let me tell you, this was like the bee's knees.
the bee's knees for me was when I actually started a Zumba club with the nursing staff. So they have like traditional Thai dance that they do, that's their form of exercise. And I was really into Zumba at the time. And I was like, I'm going to go to the nursing, it's called like Abathar. And so that's like the small little local clinic that people would go to.
Uh-huh.
So some of my duties was like, I would sit at the clinic and check in people, and people would come people watch me, which is perfectly fine. And then I also worked at an office so I could teach English at different schools around my city. And so for me, they came up with the idea that they wanted to do a dance. I said, let's just do a dance club. You know, that's going to be one of my projects. And it was so successful. They loved Zumba. They all had thumb drives the next day. Please give me the video. That was so much fun. I love it. And so that was a lot of fun for me. And another thing that I did was I did not one, but two murals. I know that's like super legit RPCV stuff, but I did two murals, and like, that was so
Nice.
much fun.
That
Yeah.
was, look, that was one of my final projects after preschool. And first I was like, how do y'all do this? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I don't get it. But once I got the projector, you couldn't stop me. I was like,
Yes,
ah!
girl, I had the free hand because, you know, I tried to do it the old school way with the projector, but I had to just like, okay, this is America, this is Africa. Like, yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty cool. So would you encourage others to participate in Peace Corps?
Of course, I would never stop advocating for Peace Corps. Do I think there needs to be some institutional change? Yes, I do. I would love to be a country director or a director of programming and training. I would love that. So, you know, I encourage everyone to join the Peace Corps if they want to travel, if they want to learn about other communities. The thing about Peace Corps is it makes you a well-rounded human. No matter where you come from, you're all on the same page. You make lifelong, I'm telling you, lifelong friends that you will just always have a story to tell. And when you do Peace Corps meetups in the future, it is super litty because it's like we gonna reminisce, we gonna talk in our language, and we gonna think about like when we gonna go back and how we gonna go back. And if anybody out there would like to start a hostel, a Peace Corps hostel with me in Thailand, I'm looking for some brokers. I need some funding. That's one thing I want to do. I think that we would be fantastic to have our own hostel. I think that would be legit.
It. A Peace Corps hostel in Thailand. That works.
Yes.
I like it. Okay, so we must address a elephant, no, a rattler in the room, because you know I'm a wildcat, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, my cousin went to BCU. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
When you was like, I went to Florida A&M, and I was like,
and the elephant was the pun for Thailand, so you really coming twice. Okay.
Well, it was so nice having you. Oh my gosh. I'm excited about this initiative to have volunteers sharing their experience, and I hope that people will take the time to listen. I tried to keep it short enough that people could stay and remain engaged. If there is someone who was like, I've been on the fence about joining Peace Corps, what are some parting words before we sign off that you would like to share with them?
So in order to walk, you have to put one foot in front of the other. And in order to run, you have to pick up the pace. But in order to be prepared for a marathon, you have to take all the plans and prepare to get there. And so if you are looking for a finish line, if you're looking for a life-changing journey, Peace Corps is a journey. And it really is the hardest job that you'll ever love. And I think that if it's for you, you'll know it's for you. I think that, you know, just do some research, man. Find an RPCV that can interview you, talk to you about their experience, especially if it's a place that you would like to go. I really think that if it's for you, it will happen. And if it's not, that's okay too. But the Peace Corps is just a once in a lifetime opportunity. And, you know, if you're ready for that journey, I say go ahead and start applying.
Oh, thank you so much, Jianca.
You're very welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.